everybody. My name is Stefan, education lead here at Cosmic. Welcome to Build Time episode 18. Today's episode's a little bit differently. It's just me doing a solo episode here. Normally we do a collaborative process with a few members of the team or a couple of us. And today we're doing something a little bit more focused. We're talking about Next.js 13, the app router, and draft mode. And so we actually did an episode of Build Time in the past where we have stumbled through this process, a very impromptu episode. So I was thinking that today we could talk a little bit about Next.js 13, just some of the core concepts. Now, originally I was going to go through and do the whole thing, but we already did that. So let's just focus on the app router and how you can integrate Cosmic with our SDK in the Next.js 13, as well as draft mode. So you can do really cool things like preview unpublished blog posts. So if we go here, this is kind of our demo today. This is our developer portfolio, which you can actually find on the Cosmic Marketplace. If you just go to Cosmic, www.cosmicjs.com/marketplace, you'll see some of our newest, latest, and greatest templates and some extensions. This is the developer portfolio. We built this with Next.js 13. This has the app router, so you can actually explore the code here. Tailwind CSS, it's got dark mode. Here it is. Great tool if you are a developer and you need to showcase some of your work and write some blog posts, get your name out there. So what we're going to be doing today is just exploring the code in this template, as well as also exploring a nice capability that you can leverage using Cosmic to preview your draft blog posts. So let's get into it. Next.js 13, the biggest differences from Next.js 12. I mean, it was a big release, and just a high-level overview. You got things like next font, next metadata, next image has been improved a bit. If you were ever annoyed at the amount of wrappers around the image, they've taken some of those away. They've simplified the styling, giving you a little bit more freedom over the components. The anchor tag is no longer inside of the link tag. Server-side rendering happens by default now. Less JavaScript is shipped typically. So now, essentially, if you use anything like use state or use effect in any of your components or pages, you will basically just go through and you might mark them with something like this, use client, if they involve any kind of client interactivity. Yeah, so of course, this is great because it increases performance in SEO. We're not really covering any TurboPack, next font metadata. We've already built some custom solutions for those in this template. Now, we're just going to go straight into kind of the differences between the app router and the pages directory. So if you're used to building in Next.js 12, this is it's a Next.js 13 project, but there's no upgrades. The cool thing about Next.js 13 is you can upgrade it incrementally. It's very important. You can do some of the upgrades like the new image component, font optimization with their API, metadata API, and you actually don't have to convert anything. So you'll see I actually do have this there still, but we're still using pages here. And let's get into some of the common things. Some of the big things that you might notice is that in Next.js 13 app router, you don't have the underscore app or documents, custom documents components here. So essentially those kind of get, you have some freedom with what to do with them, but you can put the head, I have the head done in the layout here. you actually make a root layout in Next.js 13 now instead of having it as a component. And then if you do need custom layouts, you can include those inside of your app pages. And so that's one of the big differences. We've also got a large difference with the way we fetch data in Next.js 13. So before, if you see, we've got our home page here, and I'm just going to exit this for now and pop us back home. We've got some of this content is, actually most of this content is being fetched from Cosmic. So we've got like the tagline and then the sub tagline. We've got actually this file being hosted in the CMS of a demo resume. So these social links are as well. These blog posts are being fetched from the CMS. And yeah, it makes it really easy to just kind of switch things out. You don't have to go into your code, of course. So let's talk about the data fetching. Before, we would call get static props, right? And we would return these props into the actual function here, the actual page. And then we would access those from the page. And now the difference being, if we go to the app router, and oh yeah, keep in mind, no longer you use index.jsx, tsx, whatever you're using. You actually use page now. So all of these you'll see are page, slug, page. It's the standard now. It's the namespace there. So keep in mind that. But now you've got something different. You got top level async, function getting the data. So now we can go in and we're doing the Cosmic SDK here. And so we've created these functions to get specific things from our CMS. Of course, we've hooked it up with API keys and environment variables. And we've got access to these nice natural-like language functions that we have in our Cosmic SDK. So for example, you want to find one object type in your CMS, you would just use the find one method. And actually, this is just for a single object. You would just pass the slug, and it would return you what you passed the props in. So we would get the title of the slug, the metadata. And in this case, if we go in and check it out, we got the title, the slug, and the metadata would be all these meta fields. The cover image, which is a URL. This is markdown content, and a category, and a little a teaser here. So now, with the app router, we can really simply just create this function to get the data at the top of our component. We can call all of these to get our blog posts, our variation of blog posts, which is like our portfolio projects, and the actual page data, which is some of the copy, the tagline you saw, the URL to the resume on there. What we can do is use the home page now as an asynchronous function. We call that get data function in here, and we just have access to it in the actual page component. Now, it's a bit cleaner. It's a bit cleaner that we don't have to, call it get static props and then return it back into the component. You kind of flow. As you go to the top of this component, you do your data fetching, and you call that function, and then you grab your data. And it's very simple. Revalidation happens outside. I believe you can put this anywhere. I put it at the bottom. This will just revalidate, or rather invalidate a stale cache just in case any of this data changes. A user will hit this a maximum of once every 60 seconds, it'll change. So if I change some content in the CMS, it will just automatically change. I won't have to rebuild any of this. So that's a large part of the app router, is the data fetching happens a bit differently. And Now that we have a solid understanding of these differences, I will go into the other part of this video, which is going to be setting up draft mode, which is really nice. And of course, if you've ever used preview mode in Next.js 12, it's basically the same thing. It's similar, but with Cosmic, it's very convenient. Now, this content, for example, even on even in our actual cosmicjs.com, we have draft mode, or we have preview mode set up at the moment. And so this allows us within our team to go into a blog post, and let's say we've got this blog post all, set out and drafted. Well, we want to be able to share it with each other and share it with other members of our team so we can preview it, make any changes we need to. We can see what it looks like on the page, in the layout, and is a very powerful capability, especially with content-driven websites, blogs. You can actually do this with any draft content. And essentially, we'll check it out here. So we're going to hit an API route in Next.js, and it's going to enable a cookie. And in here, we can now conditionally display a ton of things. So for example, we can tell our application to now fetch all of these blog posts, the unpublished ones as well. Now you can see this is on our live site as well. So the power is, it's great. You don't have to have a different site, a subdomain. You can just share this on your live site. So you're going to be seeing exactly what it looks like. We're telling our application, hey, we're enabling this cookie. And now that we've done that, get all of the posts, not just these posts that are published, also the ones that are not published. And so it's great. You can conditionally add tags, you can click on them. And like I said, you can do this for anything on your site. So a common thing we've done is that we've added this banner, and you treat it as preview mode. So now you're in preview mode. You can persist this banner across the site, and when you're ready, you can clear the cookie by clicking here, and it'll exit and just return you to the homepage. If we go back to our blog, it's just like our live site. It is still our live site, and you can see you don't see any of those anymore. So what's really going on here? Well, let's take a look at the latest, which is draft mode. And you see I've got the same kind of thing going on here where you're in draft mode. You can persist it, right? The whole thing. So if I wanted to actually go in and update any of this content, I could create a draft post for this content and preview an entire new copy on a site, or new content on a site that way. So here's what's going on. We create a folder inside of the app router called API. Within API, we can do the magic here. We can create our functionality. So we create a folder called draft, and then we create a route. So we're creating an API route. Essentially what we're doing is we're importing draft mode from next headers. Redirect, so we can redirect. That's when we can tell it when it hits that route, we're going to pass a parameter from the URL params and fetch that specific blog post with the slug that we're getting from Cosmic. And what we're doing here is we're calling in this function from our SDK, get preview posts. We're finding one object. And the biggest thing here is when we have published posts, we would use published. But in this case, the special function is going to allow anything. So it's going to allow us to fetch from using the Cosmic SDK any posts, unpublished posts as well. And so we are grabbing this URL from Cosmic, which you can set up in here. And for testing purposes, we're using localhost. You can see we've got that API route, we've got draft, and then what we've done, what you want to do, so your application is not vulnerable, is you want to set a random secret code so that you're protected. It's good to do like a base 64 key of sorts, something strong. And then the next thing here is we're actually specifying a path because we're using both, we're using this functionality for both the posts and the works. So we're specifying a path. If we go to works here, we'll see actually that it's works. So we can tell it to hit different parts of our application based on the URL. And then the slug ties into Cosmic with some short code of just object slug. So this link will be accessible to all of these posts. And once we go in here, we have this handy little button that will have that link. But if you can see in the bottom corner there, if we can just copy this link, we can see that it populates that slug with the actual object slug. So it knows where to look. So we're grabbing that secret and we're saying, if that secret isn't the same as what we've set up in our environment variable, don't allow for it. It's an invalid token. We're grabbing the slug and we're using that to get the preview post with the Cosmic SDK. If there is no post, so if that slug is invalid, then we are also not returning anything. And we'll just hit, we can see what that looks like if this doesn't exist. And I suppose maybe there's some further error handling we can do there, but you see it will give us a status 401. Once all that logic, once we get through all that logic and everything's good, we have a post. We select draft mode .enable, and this will set the cookie. Actually, and then essentially when we set the path, posts or works, we redirect the user to that path and then that actual blog post. Now, what you're seeing there when I click that exit button is very simple. We're just simply disabling the draft mode, and then you can redirect to wherever you'd like. You can get pretty crafty with this. Redirect to certain spots, maybe just the blog page, but right now we're just doing the homepage. And yeah, this is a very powerful capability that you can really leverage Cosmic. And of course, we just released officially Cosmic 2.0 about a little over a month ago. We're super proud. This is our entirely redesigned, rebuilt dashboard. And we're just super proud. And it's really been a pleasure to be able to share just one of these features that I personally use on my actual websites and actual applications that I build with Cosmic. So it's always nice to share like that. The functionality is really real world. It's really nice to use. But I would highly suggest to go and check out our developer portfolio template. Alongside, we have other templates as well. But yeah, guys, that's it for today. Glad to have been able to share a little bit about the app router and draft mode with you guys. Any questions for us, we'll have links in the description, some show notes, some social links. You can always reach out to us, Twitter, here on YouTube as well. And of course, you can contact us via our website. Get in touch. Check out Cosmic. It's free to get going. You can start and just play around with it and actually build some pretty big applications with the free version. So we encourage you to go check it out. and just see what you think of it. So yeah, guys, thanks a lot, and see you on the next build time.